Hey everyone, welcome back to another episode of Living on Rocky Top podcast.
I'm Ali LaRosa.
And I'm Karsten Hoagland.
And today we're here with Carter Moore, a student in journalism and co-director of music at WUTK 90.3 The Rock. Carter, are you excited to talk about journalism?
So excited. Thank you all for having me on.
Of course.
Glad you can make it.
Yeah.
So tell us a little bit about how you got to Rocky Top. We always ask everyone their story of how they got here.
I get to tell this story so much. I toured here on a whim. I didn't know a thing about UT. Spring break of my junior year, I was touring a bunch of different colleges. I wanted to look at a couple others, but they were closed for their spring break or whatever. UT was close enough by, and so I said, let's go check it out. They had a program that I thought I was interested in at the time and came to take a look. And as soon as I walked on campus, I just absolutely fell in love with it. All the students that I met, just the faculty and staff, everyone just had this real warmth to them that I really enjoyed, and just it felt so different and special compared to everywhere else I'd seen. And so even though my mom called it her second worst nightmare when we left, I was like, this is where I got to be.
Now remind us where you're from again.
Mississippi.
Okay.
I'm from a little town, and then for the last 2 years of high school, I went to a boarding school in Mississippi as well. So I just kind of claimed the whole state because I feel like I'm from a bit of all of it. But yeah.
So Did you sing the song growing up, trying to spell it?
Of course. M-I crooked letter I.
That's awesome. So with your title, did you do anything with journalism before you came here?
I did, and that's the weird thing. The boarding school I went to was a STEM school. It was the Mississippi School for Math and Science.
Okay.
So I spent my whole life like
I
pointed
also went
towards
to a STEM school, so yeah.
Yeah, and I was pointed towards engineering. I imagine you were probably aiming at STEM.
They were pointing me that way, but I kept going down the journalism pathway. I was like, no, I'm not doing that.
And that's kind of where I was too, and I didn't even realize it until I got here. Like the only main extracurricular I did was work for the newspaper.
Yeah.
And I wrote some sports articles and did some graphics and stuff, and I still didn't realize that I would probably prefer journalism or something like that. So I came to UT for chemical engineering instead of journalism.
Okay.
But then
That's a big switch.
it's a big switch. I realized really quick just from getting involved in the chemical engineering club, but also with WTK, just kind of seeing those two different paths and realizing engineering's wonderful.
Right.
Yeah.
I couldn't do it. I just could not do it.
Yeah.
So many
I
people
agree.
that they don't come here for journalism. They go to like nursing or chemical engineering, and then they fall in love with journalism and switch to it.
It's usually engineering, business, and nursing are the three everyone comes to UT for.
Yes.
And then they find other stuff they enjoy.
A lot of nursing, for sure.
It always surprises me kind of. When I made this switch, I was like, wow, I must be like the only person. I feel like everyone else has been set on this. Everyone else has had, and then you realize no, we're all still figuring it out.
Right.
Right. Trying to build the plane as we fly it.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
for sure.
That's life as a journalist.
Yeah.
Ellen,
No, you're good. You can go.
no, I was just gonna ask you, like, what drew you to the Rock, working for the radio station?
I saw them at the club fair, like first week of classes, and I had just started. I've always loved music, and I've always loved all kinds of music, but I'd really that year started to dig into indie music and just kind of really branch out and get a little weird with it. And I'd started finding some of that type of radio stations already, and then I saw them and was like, oh, this could be kind of fun. They play the music I like. This could be cool. You know, just a little fun thing to do on the side. Be a DJ, talk about the music I like for a bit, you know, share the random bits of knowledge that are locked away in here. It's like, we'll give it a go. And it's
Been a journey.
it's been the journey ever since. Yeah.
That's awesome.
When I first came here, I first wanted to go into radio, and I saw you guys like on PED, and then one of my friends also in the radio, you know, Lincoln.
I know Lincoln.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Well,
And I don't know why I'm acting like I don't know who you don't know who it is. And then I was gonna do it, and then TVC, I like checked them out, and I was like, oh, like broadcast, like maybe like, I'll go into that, and then I got not stuck with the broadcast. I love broadcast, but I just never went to radio.
it made perfect sense from the start for me to go towards radio. My dad always said I had a face for radio. So, you know, it just fit. I never really saw myself being on this side of the camera.
Yeah. Well, you're here today.
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
Welcome.
Welcome. First TV debut.
Ooh.
No, in high school, I did a lot of like packages and stuff like that for like our journalism department. And then when I came to UT, everyone was saying, oh, you should work for the Beacon. I'm like, I'm not a writer. So I was like, no. And then I found that they had a digital team and here we are. Now I'm on staff, and but yeah.
Yeah. Sorry. Like dissociated for a sec. Yeah. So with all the talk of the different media organizations, we all do something, and with that comes a title, but also comes a lot of responsibilities. Can you go into your responsibilities and how that's been?
It's a lot. It's definitely a lot. This is like this first half of my second year as co-music director. Lincoln is the other music director, and so we both kind of split a lot of the duties. We are both in charge of WTK's music department, which is WTK really like on air does two main things, and that's music and sports. So like they're pretty 50-50, but at the same time on air, like 23 out of 24 hours of the day are music. So it's not that music is any more or less important, but it is like it's a very important aspect of WTK, and we're kind of meant to be the main group, keeping it fresh, keeping up to date, kind of keeping everything going. So there's so much time spent every single week trying to find the latest new music, trying to figure out what's going to be the best fit, what's going to do well, deciding all of that. We all have to work with a lot of different radio promoters who are always, they make the job of finding the music a little bit easier, but then you've still got so much to get through, kind of keep them happy in a way, like make sure that, you're playing as much of their stuff as you can. So there's all of that. Lincoln and I we right now have 9 students, counting ourselves, in the music department. So it's a pretty relatively small group for the amount that we have to do. On top of that, we're also in charge of actually, cataloging the music and entering it and using all of our systems and everything and keeping that going. We have a show that we do every week. I really encourage our students to try and branch out and do a little bit more journalism. Even though we're a media organization, there's not a lot of journalism that goes on with WTK.
Right.
At least on the music side. We do a lot of sports reporting on that side, but I try to get our people to do more interviews and do album reviews and things like that. So that's one thing Lincoln and I have interviews are some of the things that we've gotten to do the most of, kind of branching towards reporting and journalism.
Cool interviews.
Done some really fun interviews. So I kind of lost my train of thought because that was just me explaining what I even do.
No,
I don't really remember if that's what you were asking or not.
Yeah.
No, it's great. Yeah.
Sorry, but you keep saying students. So you're in charge of all the students, and with all the things we do, we're also in charge of students. How do you think that comes into play? Like, do you feel like it's like hard sometimes, or it's like you're their boss, but it's like you're their same age or even older or younger sometimes?
It gets weird. It gets tough. And I think especially because the situation we kind of came into, like Lincoln and I were 2 of the first new students after COVID. There had been a year and a half. There were no new students. There were barely any students left for that year and a half. And so Lincoln and I and a couple of other people, we were like the very first new music department in 5 or 6 semesters. So there's been that crew that we all kind of came in together. And so then now having to be in charge of them and be their boss and tell them what to do when it's, they've been my friends since since right when we started. So that is a challenge. And then everyone else too, even if I haven't known them as long, it's still like, I feel weird trying to force somebody to do something or assign something to somebody else when I'm like, I know you're just a student too. You've got a lot of other things going on. It feels weird for me to do that. And it's not all on me. We have other like professional people who step in for that as well. Benny is able to do a lot of that as well, but it's strange. It's tough. And it's a lot to kind of try and figure out. This is the first time I've been in much of a leadership type of role. That was never something I made the time for in high school. And then before I went to boarding school, there just wasn't anything. So it's been a lot to try and kind of figure out since I've gotten into this on top of everything else.
It's definitely challenging trying to manage other people your age. It's kind of a weird dynamic, but
it's like a blurred line sometimes,
right?
Like, especially with friends. Like, it's great to find those friends that are passionate about the same thing you are, and to have this community and this organization. But when you're hanging outside of the friend group, outside of the organization, you're like talking about things, and then sometimes when you bring up like things about the show or things about that, like it's like, okay, wait, is she being a friend or is she being a producer right now?
Right.
But it's like, I'm just like talking about it, like take it as it is, like
And I think we all kind of figure out our own ways of how we balance that and how we approach it. I don't know that mine's all that good.
I struggle with it. I'm
I do
like,
too. Yeah.
the weekends I try to not be like journalism alley. I try to be friend alley, but it's hard because like as journalists and as what we're doing, like our jobs don't stop. Like we get texts, we get emails on the weekend, and we're answering to people and preparing for the next week for shows and stuff.
Yeah, it's definitely hard to separate the two.
Oh yeah.
Work-life balance. and it's really true in any role, like not just TV or as students, even like in the real world. It's hard to, like when you see your boss or like if you're friends with them or, trying not to talk about work or like a colleague and try to, I don't know. It's definitely a hard thing to separate.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
It is, for sure.
So talk a little bit about, you talked about the radio, but you're also involved in a bunch of other things as well. Talk a little bit about your other roles on campus.
Let's see. The main other thing that I've been able to do that I'm currently involved in within communications and media, I got to start over the summer with land grant films. I got to start working as a videographer, and I suppose that's still probably technically my title is videographer, but I've gotten to kind of dabble in a bit of whatever I've wanted to. We've been working on a series called Job Pop for East Tennessee PBS and PBS National now as well, which are these little minute-long videos aimed at like elementary kids, teaching them about all kinds of different career opportunities. So I've gotten to, it's really fun, and I love like the goal and what it's for, and I also just love the work and going and filming these people, because we'll go and we'll film like a 10-minute interview and then take another 20 minutes and just kind of see some of the things that the people will do in their regular, in a regular day's work, and just kind of filming B-roll and all of that. So it's fun getting to see and interact with these people. It's fun getting to try and figure out how to creatively show it and how to video it. I always love anything technical and figuring out how to do it as best as I can. So like with video or like working with audio and like the sound, that's where I always get really involved and get my most excitement from. So I've loved all of that. I've gotten to do editing and animation work as well. I just started learning how to do After Effects, and it's blowing my mind. I love it, but it's so cool. So that's one of the main things I've started doing with media. Also with media, last year I was a beat reporter, I guess. They called me the correspondent for high school soccer for the Knox Soccer Podcast, which one of my professors, Brian Canover, runs it.
Him too, yeah.
Love Brian so much.
He's great.
He runs the soccer podcast, and I had him. He was one of my first journalism professors when I made the switch. And at the end of the semester, he said, "Hey, we really want to expand into high school soccer. I enjoyed your writing, and you want to help us out." And so I spent a year doing that, learned that I hated it, but that's okay. That's what this is for. And I was happy to help him out. I got to have a lot of fun I got to go with Bearden to their last fall state championship. I kind of followed them through that and do a fun little report. And it's just really cool, making those connections and seeing how it impacted people was a lot of fun. And the other thing that I still do, I'm a campus ambassador as well. So I give tours. You probably see me in an orange polo, wandering around campus with a group of people behind me, making terrible, terrible jokes.
I mean, that's what convinced somebody to come here, though.
Yeah.
Like, those jokes could...
It's been a little surreal this year, because this is my second year doing it. And so this year, I've run into people 3 or 4 times that have been like, "Hey, I think you were my tour guide." It's like, oh, wow. That's it's a weird feeling. It's such a weird feeling. I don't know how to respond to it.
It's good you're like sharing what drew you to UT to other prospective students, and hopefully getting them to come here too. And it's good too, you're dabbling in so many different pathways within journalism, radio, TV, podcasts. I mean, I feel like especially in journalism, you have to be versatile with...
You do. You have to be not even a triple threat, all threat.
Yeah.
Right.
Like 5 things, know everything.
Absolutely.
Because your competition is very high.
Yeah.
I've always kind of made it my priority to make sure I'm as well-rounded as possible, just in general. But now that the career focus is journalism, just trying to touch on a bit of everything. And because I enjoy it all, too, for the most part.
Yeah.
Not writing about soccer.
Yeah, I think we all enjoy it. But so doing all of that, being so involved with student media, how do you manage schoolwork and on top of your roles that you're involved with?
Sometimes well, sometimes not so well. true story, full confession, a recent example. Sometimes I've always been a bad procrastinator.
Okay.
And so sometimes that really comes out with trying to balance everything else outside of classes.
I felt that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So this semester, it really started to bite me. I'm in Media, Diversity, and Society with Dr. Whiteside, and we had our kind of big research project. I've done so much bigger and worse projects. Like, it was a 3 to 5 page kind of analysis paper, like nothing bad. Had plenty of time to do it, knew about it. It was a rough time. I had a lot of other things going on. Things just kept popping up, kept pushing it off, kept just not having the mental energy to do it. And it came around to the due date, and I still hadn't started. So I spent all of last Friday, like woke
I
up,
saw this. I'm on your spam.
woke up at 9 in the morning. It was due at 5 o'clock. I was going to submit it at 5 o'clock, and the assignment had closed. And I was like, oh no. And it works out. It worked out. It's okay. I'm sure I'm going to take some late points. I'm grateful that she even took it at all, because she was like, no late submissions. And I just wasn't setting myself up for success. And sometimes that's what happens, because there were just so many other things going with the radio. I was having to help edit I'd gone with Land Grant to shoot an interview with Larry Taylor, Medal of Honor recipient. And it was right around Veterans Day. We were really trying to get that done and helping all of that. So just so many things came up, and it's just kind of how it happens. Other times, I just stay up and I crank things out and just, give up a little on the sleep. But I don't know. I'm still figuring it out.
Something's gotta give.
To answer your question, I'm figuring it out.
Yeah,
a
I think we're all figuring it out. Yeah.
At all. I'm the worst procrastinator.
It's
And
terrible.
then I'll have like time where it's like, I call like awkward time, where it's like I have something at this time, then I have like 30 minutes, and then I'm like,
I call it waiting mode. I go into waiting mode.
right.
Okay.
And you're
All
like,
the
hey,
time. That.
what I can edit a script, I can do this, but then I'm like, I just don't want to do anything.
Yeah,
Then
I need
feel
a break.
Then I feel guilty
Yeah.
for that. So I'm like, crap, like I should have just done it. Like I had 30 minutes. And then I'm like, nope, I'll just do it later. And then something else will come up. And you're like, I really should have done it. Like those 30 minutes were very valuable.
And every semester I go into it and I say, I'm going to be better. I'm not going to let myself go into that waiting mode. I'll be better and recognize when I've got some time, and I don't have to do everything in one sitting. That's where I think a lot of my procrastination comes from. I'd always feel like I had to get things done in one sitting. But now we're at the point where, in school and in extracurriculars and things, like everything just takes time, and you need to sit with things and like work on it over a period of time. And I am just bad at that.
Right.
And it's still figuring out how to do it and how to make myself do it. It's a lot.
Yeah. No, I will 100% say that I definitely put schoolwork on the back burner, and activities after, like organizations like Vol News and all that, like comes first. Like I'm like, all right, that is going to be something that like I care about. And I do care about my schoolwork. Like, especially if you're watching, I love your classes. They're great. It's obviously something great, but I'm just like, this is something like I'm working up to. Like, it's coming first. Sorry, guys.
But I feel like working for student media, like, it's great practice for the real world.
And that's how I see it.
Yeah,
too.
and it's like our job.
And that's some advice that I've gotten in the past, because it's so unlike me to not prioritize school and academics. That's very, very new, just like since college. But I've had a couple of different professors and mentors who have kind of pointed out, when it comes down to it, no employer in this field is going to care that much about exactly what your GPA was, if it was a 3.5 or a 4 or a 3 if you've got all of this other portfolio, this background of work that you can show, really positive work. And that work that you do outside of the classroom is going to be able to speak a lot more than your grade.
Oh,
100%.
100%.
And so I've been more willing to sacrifice a little bit on the academics.
Right.
Yeah.
And I think that's the thing that other majors don't really realize, because like, oh, journalism, communication, it's so easy. Like, you have to watch a movie, or you have to write like a paragraph about it and all that. It's like, yeah, that's fine. Like, my homework technically is easy, but like I have to apply myself outside of this. Like, I have to create my own brand. I have to create reels. I have to get internships. It's all about the experience outside the classroom.
And most employers already want 3 years of experience coming out of high school or coming out of college. It's like, we haven't worked yet. Like, how do you expect us to get 3 years of experience? So working for student media, that's kind of like our experience that we've had.
And we're honestly doing real jobs.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, stuff I've seen at like WBR, WATE, like we're doing that stuff.
Oh,
here.
yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, WTK in so many ways, it runs like a full-fledged professional station, which for it to do that with only 2 actual professionals is mind-blowing.
I know how you guys do it.
And I hesitate to take that much credit for it, but
too.
yeah, no, and it's so much, especially outside of campus. Once you get out into Knoxville, I get so amazed because I'll go and work events, and we'll have attend at festivals and things, and just so many people that you would never expect will come up and talk about how much they love listening to the station, how much fun they have, or like when we do our show, and we'll get people who call in on a Saturday morning, and it's, you know, it's just not who you'd expect. It's these just regular people out in Knoxville who just enjoy what we do, and it's, I don't know, it's just,
that's great though.
It means a lot.
Yeah,
I mean,
it
you've
does.
reached around the world. Lincoln showed me that this Irish band like called in and was like, "Thank you guys so much. Like people here like from Tennessee or people in Ireland like now know about you guys," and like
Yeah.
That's
crazy.
really cool.
We played a band last fall called Big Orange, because of course we would. They were from Australia, and they called in one day, and they're like, I'm not going to mimic an Australian accent, but they were like, we're just so shocked. Our biggest listener base is in Knoxville, Tennessee. Like, what's going on? And we kind of, because they didn't know anything about Go Big Orange or whatever, so we kind of got to explain to them. But it's that I think that just shows the impact that it can have on the community, and I think that's amazing.
Yeah.
And I'm glad to be a part of it. I like to take as much credit as I can. I do feel like I'm getting to do something.
You're doing a great job.
Yeah.
You have a lot on your plate.
Feels like it.
Can be very taxing for sure. Yeah, and I hate giving sleep. It always gets put on the back burner for me, at least. I don't know about you, but
I love my sleep. So I try my best to.
yeah,
I try to make that the last thing I cut on, but I should probably cut a little more than I do.
So what do you do for when you're stressed? Like, this is advice. I'm not even asking for them. I'm asking for me because I'm awful with stress. So I'm trying to find like little things. What is like your go-to to like relax on a weekday, weekend?
I don't even know. I love just taking a little drive. Even if it's like 30 minutes, that always helps to clear my head. I love music, so that's one of the nice things about working with so much music is that it does help. And even if I'm getting stressed about everything else, if my job is listening to music, it's at least not as stressful as it could be. It's enjoyable. I'm having fun with it. So those have always been kind of the 2 first things that I do. I try to make sure that we'll just step away. That always, I feel like, helps me the most, just getting some distance from whatever's going on. It's hard when you're working on a 5 p.m. deadline that you started at 8 in the morning, for example, but when I'm able to, and that's why I try to keep ahead as much as I can so I can have that room to just take a minute. Those are not great pieces of advice, and I realize that. It's so very specific, I feel like, to me. But
I try to watch movies, but then I like have a minor in cinema studies, so I really like movies, so I'll like analyze them. And I'm like, oh damn it, like my
it's okay.
my brain just won't shut off. And I'm like, you're watching with like friends last night, like Breaking Bad, and like Aiden kept making jokes like he's sad, his shirt's yellow because he's sad, and it's like it's funny because it's like that's like it's like cinema, like it's like that's what people do. It's like you just like analyze everything. It's like, oh, this camera angle, or you're taught like, oh, this is like a jump cut, or oh, like I can tell they didn't film this in one shot, like. And so my thing is movies, so I'll watch like stupid movies or like parodies and like, or like not stupid movies, like Adam Sandler movies, like they're great, they're funny, like just like to not focus. Yeah, because I'm like, I don't care if his shirt's that in an Adam Sandler movie. I'm like, there's not a bigger meaning. There probably is, but I'm like, I'm not thinking.
Adam Sandler movie.
Right,
You're there to laugh.
Yeah.
But I mean, and then there's a lot of times that there is, no matter what I do, there is just nothing that will work, and that's probably the worst of it. Like when everything's getting piled up, like I keep going to last week because that's just what's on my brain. That's what's been going on. It was a lot, and it got to the point where I just couldn't do anything about it. It was just there, and no matter what, and it just gets so hard to focus at that point too. So I mean, there's times that there's just kind of waiting it out.
Oh,
and just kind of pushing through. Like,
do you ever feel like you're gonna have like a Britney Spears moment?
Yeah. Every once in a while.
Yeah. It becomes a lot because it's on us, and it's like we can't just be like, all right, we're done, bye guys, because it's like then stuff doesn't happen, and
Right.
it's it's our responsibility. We signed up for it. So
Yeah.
it's like we can complain about it all we want. We can like say not negative things about it, but it's like we also put it on ourselves, which is something I struggle with because I'm like, crap, like I can say, oh, I'm stressed, all this, but like I'm not asking for the help. Like I'm like, oh, I got it. And I'm like, because I want it my way.
Yeah.
And then I'm like,
I'm
very like,
I do that
strategic
all the
about it.
time.
no, I'm just the same way too.
Yeah, like people will say, "Oh, can you need help?" I'm like, "Oh, I've got it," and then like I don't got it, but yeah, I think I can do everything, but I can't. Yeah.
Yeah.
like I'll pull it out of somewhere. Like
Yeah.
I'll figure it out.
It's like I know it too, and I know why I do it, and I know where it comes from, and I know that I shouldn't do it.
Mhm.
But
Yeah.
it's just, it's hard not to sometimes.
Honestly,
and it's
Yeah.
just,
it's a bad cycle.
Yeah.
It's just like,
Yeah.
it's more to
Circle of a journalist.
Yeah, I
and-
think
yeah.
that's a therapist question.
Yeah.
I don't think
May
we
not be
can
for
all-
here.
Yeah, I'm like, you're like,
Uh-huh.
yeah, like it goes in something deeper. I'm like, I just thought of what mine was. Yeah. Anyways,
We've had a lot of therapy sessions on this show.
honestly,
Yeah.
just talking, and it's good therapy.
Yeah.
Yeah, it just kind of comes out.
Yeah. And some people don't know how to communicate, so it's nice when people know how to
Yeah.
communicate.
Comes with the territory of being in communications.
Right.
Right. That's what we're taught.
Yeah.
I mean, the first one this semester was Dean Mazer talking about communication and
Yeah.
how like it goes into your major, and it's like you're taught how to communicate, which just sounds so stupid, but like
It's a major skill. It's
it
really
is.
important, and it can be really tough.
And it's
Right.
something I feel like communications is a little more important than business just because
oh, you're gonna
I know,
some
I'm sorry.
people.
I know, I'm sorry. But no, but like learning how to communicate, like you can use that in any job.
It goes
Like,
everywhere.
yeah,
Yeah,
right.
no
it's
matter what you
universal.
do.
But like you can teach the business when you get into that role, but having those communication skills coming in is huge.
I will say business majors, I don't know, data analytics, all that, like econ I barely
It's-
passed. I was like, I don't know how
It
they
goes
do
right
it.
over my
Yeah,
head.
yeah.
Like, yeah.
So shout out to
mad
them, 'cause
props to y'all because like it can never be me.
No, that's
Yeah.
why we're journalism, because we have take 2 math classes. That's it.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh,
I hate math. I could not do
Oh, I
it.
know. It's the worst.
I went to math and science school. I didn't have a choice.
Right.
No, I mean, I went to a sim school too, and we had to take math all 4 years. But it
No,
was,
I've never been good at math.
yeah.
I was always like, had to like have tutoring or like go early in the morning.
Calculus was my first ever C on an exam. I do remember that one. I
On an
blame COVID.
exam
though.
or in a class?
Just on exam.
Oh my
Dang.
god, you're fine.
What saved me in high
Okay.
school is because we had integrated math classes. So like we didn't have to take like algebra 1, algebra 2, geometry 1. Like it was so algebra 1 and geometry 1 were like combined in one class. So like
Oh.
because I'm terrible at geometry, but I would say I'm good at algebra, so that saved my grade.
That's nice, because I almost
Yeah.
feel like I need like a recap, like in Netflix, like shows.
Right.
Because like the next year, they'd be like, oh yeah, like we learned this part in like algebra like last year. But anyways, moving on, we're going into this. I'm like, whoa.
Yeah.
You think I remembered that from over the
Uh-huh.
summer? Absolutely not.
Mhm.
Like I just remembered what I needed for the test. Everything
Yeah.
else, back burner.
Yeah.
It's in the back.
Oh, math.
Oh, math. Oh, journalism. Oh, communication.
Thank you for not being math.
Yeah.
I know.
Oh,
Thank God.
goodness.
When I saw that, I was like, yes.
I know. That and foreign language, which
That would be fun. I
Yeah.
honestly I should take a foreign language, because like it's good to have on your resume and good to know.
I'm still learning English over here, let alone another language. Lord. Have you taken any foreign language classes?
Not here. I did German in high school.
Okay.
Of course he did.
What's that supposed to
Okay,
mean?
so since you
Like-
went to a
like
STEM
you-
school, I have to ask, what were your foreign languages that your school offered?
We had Spanish, French, German, Latin, and Russian.
Okay. Usually everyone takes Spanish or French, like that's
Yeah.
traditional. But my high school we had Latin or Mandarin Chinese.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Oh.
So I was like, well, I'm not taking Latin just because like I'm not going into like a medical field or anything. So I was like, I guess, and at the time I thought I was wanting to go into like maybe like business or something like that. So I was like, okay, I'll do Mandarin.
Not anymore. You just
I
crapped
know.
on them.
Now I'm on TV, but you know, things change. But yeah, trying to do that for 2 years,
I cannot imagine.
it was brutal.
Yeah.
Like I still don't even remember some of the stuff I learned, but Yeah, I was when I got to college. I'm like, thank God I'm taking foreign language, because if I had to suffer through, yeah,
Yeah, no, I had
bring
that.
back nightmares.
I had that reaction with you because I feel like you're like, yeah, like it's really hard and all that, but like you'll just get A's. Like you'll
comes
try.
natural,
Yeah,
yeah.
it comes natural, but some people are just it doesn't come natural.
Yeah,
That's fair.
Sorry, it's like psychoanalyzed
I
you.
know.
I don't really know how to react to that.
I mean, it's a good thing. It's a compliment. I would take that as a compliment.
Yeah.
I left you speechless.
Yeah. No. Yeah.
Oh goodness. So before we start to wrap things up, I have to ask, with the future of communications and where our college is going, we have the new student media center in the works. Don't know if I'm supposed to show a picture of that or not, so we'll leave that at that. But what are you most excited for that this school is like starting to focus on student media and recognizing that we need more than what we have?
No pressure.
Yeah, no pressure. Sorry, I know that was like a lot, but
Yeah. Honestly, a lot of things. I'm glad that everything's going to be getting the support that's needed for my perspective specifically. Like WZK was entirely self-supported until July 1 this year. Up until that point, every dollar that it took to keep the station running was from donations, was from listener support, and that's to pay for the transmitter, to pay for salaries, to pay for everything. And so now that there's money coming from the school for that, that opens up so much of that money to, letting our students do more things, making better product for our on-air. Like, we have been using the same automation system, like the stuff that plays the music and that the DJs use and everything. We've been using a program that I don't think has been updated since 2011 or 2012, and we've been supposed to upgrade it since before COVID, and just because money, because time, just haven't been able to. And now with this funding, we're able to do that. We're able to bring, get back up to date. We're able to get something better for the students. We're able to get more for the students to do.
yeah,
All kinds of stuff like that. And more broadly, just for the college overall, obviously, I'm somebody who likes to have my hands in a little bit of everything and to try out a little bit of everything. And I think that bringing all of these organizations together gives so many more opportunities for people to be able to do that, which, I think that's really important.
I do too.
And I'm excited for those opportunities to be able to come about, just more collaboration, getting more people in the same room just to create ideas and things.
For sure, yeah.
Even just for the first 2 years that I was in WTK, I never really got to interact with anybody else in journalism from outside the station. Very, very little. A couple of people in my classes, and that was about it. So even just within this semester, it's everything's still so new and still just starting, but I already feel like I've gotten to get so much more connected and share more ideas and just get a lot more of that creative spark that I think is really important for everybody. Maybe it's just how I work, I don't know, but it's, at least for me, I think it's already helped a lot, and I know it's going to help even more by the time I'm gone.
Hopefully we can get everyone out of the basement, because I know y'all.
It'd be nice.
Yeah, y'all aren't even in the communications building, right?
We're in Andy Holt Tower.
Yeah,
and we don't have a window anywhere, and it makes me really sad, and I miss the sunlight.
Yeah.
Like a vampire.
No, for real. No, for real. That's like, even the Beacon, like, thankfully part of it has windows, but like if you're in the digital room of the Beacon, like it's like a cave. Like there's, it would be nice to get out of the basement. Yeah, for sure. What are you most excited about?
I mean, TVC is the studios.
Right.
Yeah, there's not.
Love it in here. The lighting's great. You can change it if you want to be cool. It can be cool. It can be warm. But in all seriousness, I'm excited for it. I'm excited for everyone to be on the same playing field.
Right.
I think that with media organizations and in journalism, it can become very competitive, and I think that having one space for all of us to come together and to have professors and teachers to help us navigate that besides us, because it can become very weird when you're telling like another student like, hey, I don't like this idea, or hey, I think it should be this, and you're not having, we're adults, but like somebody above you say it, because it can become like very like, I don't know if I want to listen to them. So if you have like somebody above, I think it's good to neutral it. out.
And I'll be glad to have everyone under the same roof and be able to collaborate with everyone.
Yeah, no, I'm excited for that, especially at TVC. We're ready for collaboration, so gotta shout it out.
Yeah. Yeah, it's hard to like collaborate with y'all when y'all are in the basement of Andy Holt Tower,
Right.
running all over the place.
Hard to even find us.
Right.
Nobody knows what Andy Holt Tower is. I've had so many people ask where's
Yeah.
the radio. And even if I say, that really tall building right behind the communications building in Circle Park, blank face.
No.
It's
They're like,
hard to
oh, the
get
one right
there.
next to HSS. I'm like, no, not that one. The other tower. They're like,
Yeah.
It's funny though.
yeah.
We're on very bottom basement level, and then Chancellor Plowman is at the very top floor of Andy Holt Tower. So you get like the full
Okay.
range of UT right in one building.
Symbolism right there.
Yep.
We've laughed about that one for a while.
Yeah. Well, thank you.
Yeah, thank you,
Yeah,
Carter,
thank
for
you so
coming,
much.
talking
Thank you for
about
coming on
random
and-
stuff, journalism,
Bit of
just
everything.
how you are, and it's been a great conversation.
Therapy sessions to, journalism.
Yeah.
How you got to UT, full circle.
Yeah, we've covered it all today.
Yeah. That's a wrap of this week's episode of Living on Rocky Top.
I'm Ada La Rosa.
And I'm Karsten Hoagland.
And we'll see
you
you
next
next
time.